Hi everyone, this is Ivy, your host of the Canada Info Immigration channel. I just want to say thank you to every single one of you who has continued to take out time to watch my videos, to post comments, likes, and to give me encouraging words to keep going. Thank you for to those of you who have subscribed, those of you who has hit the notification bell. I want to say thank you for all of your support. I just wanted to let you know that I merged all of my videos into one just because the topics are linked. They are step-by-step process of how you can apply through the express entry system to become a Canadian permanent resident. You can apply through the skilled workers program. And so those different steps have been linked together. I did different topics in different videos, but now I linked all of them together in one so that it's a one-stop shop for you. When you click on the video, you don't stop. You just watch from beginning to end what is expected of you and what you're meant to do. And so that's what I wanted to tell you. Thank you again for all of your support, and I hope to see you soon. Bye. Hi everyone, my name is Ivy. Welcome to the Canada Immigration Process Information Channel. I'll be your host for this channel and I'll be bringing you information about how to immigrate to Canada as a permanent resident through the Federal Skilled Workers Program. I'd like to welcome all of you. This is my first video. Please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so that you stay up to date to all the current videos I'll be posting on my channel. Also, feel free to like and to share this video because this is public information I'm sharing, which is available readily on the Canadian government website. I have included links for every topic I'll be talking about in my series of videos in the description window just down below. So feel free to hit to post comments, questions, and you could also share or ask to see me talk about topics that concerns or borders on you. I immigrated to Canada, just a little brief about who I am. So I immigrated to Canada in July of 2018 last year. If you would want to wish me a happy anniversary, now would be the time to wish me a happy anniversary. I'm 1 year in Canada this month of July, and I would say God has been so faithful. I cannot complain. It's been amazing. I immigrated to Canada with my husband and 2 young kids. Um, I was a chartered accountant from Nigeria with ACCA UK. And when I came to Canada, I had started my job search rigorously even before I left Nigeria, my home country. And in 1 month, when I arrived in Canada, I was able to secure a job in my profession. And then towards the end of 2018, December to be specific, I obtained my Chartered Professional Accountancy license, which is CPA for Chartered Professional Accountants here in Canada. And so one of my LinkedIn contacts contacted me and told me um, a reporter from the United Arab Emirates had reached out to him to ask if I wanted to share my success story of how I immigrated to Canada with my family and how I was able to land a job in a very short time and how I was able to obtain the Chartered Professional Accountant designation here in Canada. And of course, I jumped at the opportunity to have my story shared because any opportunity I have to inspire people, it's an opportunity I don't take for granted. And after my story was published by this reporter, I have never been to the United Arab Emirates, and that's the power of social media now. You're able to connect with people across the world. After my story was published, guys, my LinkedIn profile went wild. I started receiving connection requests from all over the globe, from India, from Nigeria, from South Africa, people asking me how I did the process because in my article, I had mentioned that I did my application for permanent residence for I and my family myself without the help of an agent. And so people were intrigued and were asking how was I able to go through that process myself from start to finish. And I'm here to let you know that if I could do that process, you too can do it. Just stay tuned and listen to all the information that I'm about to share. And most importantly, weigh it to see if immigration is for you. The truth of the matter is, immigration is not for everybody. And so weigh it against where you are, where your family is at, and if this is something you would want to do. In this video, I would like to cover the topic, is immigrating to Canada for me? This is a good way for me to start so that it will launch you through to see if this is really where you want to be. And so you might be wondering and asking yourself the question, is immigrating to Canada for me? And so I'm going to be covering the benefits and the challenges of a permanent resident here in Canada. I have attached a link of my success story, which was published by the United Arab Emirates reporter, down below my video. So feel free after this video to read the story and get inspired. Now, what are the benefits of being a permanent resident in Canada? I've highlighted a few and I'll be sharing it in this video. One of the benefits is, as a permanent resident of Canada, you are entitled to almost all of the social benefits that a Canadian citizen is entitled to. That's so interesting because there's a lot of benefits that Canadian citizens are entitled to. One of it is the child benefit. So if you have a child like me that is below the age of 18, your child, all of your children, each of them are entitled to the child benefits from the government of Canada. Depending on what your income is assessed, and then you are issued the child benefit every month for each of your child below the age of 18. This helps to reduce, or this helps to support the cost of childcare, which can be pretty expensive here in this country. Another of the social benefits is that there's free education. So free quality education in Canada it's available for all permanent residents of Canada. Now, the government of Canada has public schools and Catholic public schools. And so you can choose either of these schools for your children to attend. The primary, which is also called the elementary schools here, and then the high schools, which is also called the secondary schools in some quarters, are all free. And so whichever of the schools, either the public or the Catholic school you choose for your child to go, it's completely free. The materials, the writing materials and notepads for the children are given to them free. I'll just quickly put as a point of note, for those of you that want your children to attend Catholic schools, you'll be required during registration of your child to present your baptismal certificate from a Catholic church. So you or your spouse, or even your parents or the grandparents to your children, any of them who is Catholic and has a baptismal certificate, you'll be required to present that document to prove that you are actually Catholic. The private schools in Canada are paid for, so that option you might also want to explore. Another benefit of being in Canada is the free healthcare system. There's a free healthcare system in place for all permanent residents of Canada. And so as a permanent resident of Canada, once you get into Canada, depending on the province you arrive in, so for example, I am in Ontario, depending on the province you arrive in Ontario, for example, 3 months after you arrive, you are entitled to begin receiving the free health care. And then you and all your dependents that came with you are sent your healthcare cards, which you can use to access free health care. Some other provinces like Alberta, for example, you are entitled from the start, from when you arrive Alberta, you receive your health care card, and then your health care kicks, as in it becomes active from when you arrive. So research the province of choice you might want to land, and so that you know the differences in when your healthcare, your free healthcare kicks in. The next benefit I'd like to talk about is that as a permanent resident of Canada, you have access to a lot of countries. And so with your permanent resident card, you might not be needing visas to access a lot of countries. Now, one of the benefits that intrigues me the most is that in Canada, there is no retirement age. Yes, you heard me, there is no retirement age. You can work until you can work no more. In some quarters, for example, in Nigeria, where I come from, where I'm proudly from, there's a retirement age of 60. So a lot of organizations, government organizations, and some private organizations retire you at the age of 60, or if you have served for 35 years. But in Canada, there is no employment law or standard that says you must retire at a certain age. But in some quarters, you might hear that the retirement age in Canada is 65. Some people say that because the Canada pension plan and the old age security benefits kicks in, so you begin to receive those amounts at the age of 65 here in Canada. And so some people have tagged 65 years of age as the retirement age in Canada, but the truth of the matter is there is no retirement age in Canada, and for me that is amazing. Lastly, the best part of this for me is that Canada is a multi-diversity nation, and so Canada welcomes immigrants from all over the world. I personally take the bus to work and I hear different languages. I mean, like languages I haven't even heard in movies. I hear different languages. I see different colors of people. I see different hair types. It's so amazing. And it's even more amazing because everyone is so accepting of the other person's culture. There is no judgment anywhere. It's an enabling society that encourages diversity, and that is the beauty that I see in Canada. For me, that's the best part of this country. It's amazing. Now I move to the challenges for a PR or a permanent resident in Canada. So permit me, when I say PR, I'm actually referring to a permanent resident. What are the challenges, some of the challenges that are faced by permanent residents? So I'll be using myself as an example based off of my 1 year of experience. One of the challenges in Canada is that the tax rate is actually high. So sometimes your income tax is charged between 20 to 30% of your income. And of course, for me, that's a lot of money you have to pay as tax. And aside from the fact that you pay that income tax, for example, if it's 30% income tax you're taxed, you have 70% left of your income. And if you're having 70% left, whenever you go purchase things or buy things, you are charged sales tax. And in some provinces, depending on the province, the sales tax is as high as 15%. And so from your 70%, you are paying 15% on sales tax. And that is really high. But it's if you look at the bigger picture, for me, I don't really see it as an issue because the taxes are used for the purposes for which they are collected. If you reflect back on the benefits I talked about, the free healthcare, the free education, the child benefits, these are all the benefits that the tax pays for. There are good roads, every security, these are all the benefits that the tax pays for. So too much tax is not too much tax. For me, it's not a challenge. I just placed it here, but really, it's not a challenge for me. And so another of the challenges is that some high-level security jobs do not accept applications from permanent residents. These are meant for only citizens of Canada. Some security agencies, some government jobs, you must be a Canadian citizen to be able to have access to apply for those positions. And then there's the challenge of cultural shock. The cultural shock for me, the major one, was the weather. I came from a very warm temperature and climate. I came from like 30 to 35 degrees centigrade of warm temperature to minus 30 of cold and wet weather. It was a shock for me. I wore my winter jacket from the fall till spring. It was really cold. Like there's almost no difference between the winter and the spring here in Canada. It's really, really cold. You have to wear layers of clothes. But I learned before I came here, because I did a lot of research, I learned that once you layer up properly, you're able to manage the cold. And so layering up is the best. I have little kids also, and then once you wear those different layers before you put on the main winter jacket, you're totally fine. So layering up helps. Another of the shock for me was that you book appointments for almost everything. I mean, you book appointments to change your tire, your winter tires. You book appointment to barb your hair. You book appointment for the hair salon. You have to call your friend before you visit them in their house. I mean, it's so amazing. But it's such an interesting culture. Like it's something different for me, but it's so interesting to see. Another of the challenges that I see is that some professions in Canada are regulated professions. So some professions that in other countries or in other places are not regulated, here in Canada it's regulated. So for example, I had mentioned earlier, I'm a chartered accountant. My professional accountancy, of course, is regulated. And for me to have been able to get into the Canadian job market properly, I saw the need for me to obtain the CPA, which is the Chartered Professional Accountancy designation for chartered accountants here in Canada. And so just so that it helps me ease properly into my profession and my career path here in Canada. And so for teachers, teaching profession here in Canada is highly regulated. And so if you're a teacher and you plan on coming to Canada, you would have to go through the licensing process before you begin to practice your profession. So please, I would suggest that you research your profession properly to see if it's a regulated profession in Canada, and then you begin if it's possible, you can begin your licensing process back from your country. So for example, for me, before I came here, I began the process of getting my CPA, so the Chartered Professional Accountants of Canada, from Nigeria before I came here. I started my licensing process, and then 4 months after I got here, I got my membership status. So it was almost like I eased into the system, but that was because I started it way before I came to Canada. So if it's possible, you might want to begin your licensing process from your home country, wherever you are, before you come here to Canada. Another thing I see as a challenge here in Canada is that you might have to go back to school. So like I mentioned, some professions are regulated. You might have to go back to school in order for you to get courses that are recognized here for you to get into your profession. Going back to school, I know, might be challenging. Some of us might have left school a while ago, but that's one of the drawbacks that I see. Another challenge is that as a PR, I wouldn't call it a challenge. It's just like what the government of Canada has in the law for permanent residents. As a permanent resident, you cannot vote, and as a permanent resident, you cannot run for political office. Also, as a permanent resident, you can be deported back. So that's the difference between a permanent resident and a citizen. As a permanent resident, you can be deported back to your home country. To keep your PR status, so your permanent resident status, once you receive it, in order for you to keep your PR status, you have to have been in Canada for 730 days within a 2-year period. I'm sorry, I'll rephrase that. For you to be able to maintain your permanent resident status, you need to have been in Canada for 730 days, which is 2 years, within a 5-year period, for you to be able to maintain your PR status. And then for you to be able to apply for citizenship, you have to have been within Canada for 1,065 days within the 5-year period preceding when you submitted your application for citizenship. And you have to have filed three tax assessments. So you have to have filed your tax for 3 years preceding when you submit your application for citizenship. I have put my LinkedIn profile and that of my spouse in the description box below. So feel free to take a look at it. Feel free to read my immigration success story also to get inspired. My next video, I'll be talking about it. It will be a 2-series video. I'll be diving into how to apply for your permanent resident status. So stay tuned. Please hit the subscribe button and check the notification bell so that you get updated and notified whenever I post all my current videos. You can also like and share this video. It's public information, like I said. Share the video so that the information gets to those that really need it. So where the option is Canada for me, is Canada not for me, and then the decision is fully yours. Thank you guys once again for tuning into my channel. I hope you have a great day. I see you in my next video. Bye. Hi everyone, my name is Ivy. I would like to welcome you to my channel, the Canada Immigration Process Information channel. For those of you that are just visiting my channel for the very first time, I'd like to ask that you please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so that you're notified of new videos I'll be posting. I did an initial video that talked about is immigrating to Canada for me, and the reason for this channel, what gave birth to this channel, was because I had my immigration success story posted on a website. So a United Arab Emirates reporter wrote my Canadian immigration success story as a chartered accountant, and then she published it, and then my LinkedIn profile went wild. A lot of people were sending me connection requests and asking how I immigrated to Canada and how I was able to do the immigration process myself, because I mentioned it in my success story. If you want to have a read about that article of my success story, it's down below in the description section. I had to answer a lot of people from all over the world, and so instead of me answering different people, I just thought to create a channel for this purpose that would answer a lot of the questions that you have concerning the Canadian immigration, coming to Canada as a permanent resident. That is the purpose of this video. I immigrated to Canada in the year 2018, July to be precise, so I'm 1 year in Canada this month. It's been amazing. I cannot complain. I immigrated with my husband and my 2 kids, and God has been wonderful for us. And so I have seen the need to do this video to tell you what the Canadian immigration process is like, the documents you need to prepare in order to apply to become a permanent resident under the express entry system. I'm going to break down all these definitions for you from the start so that you're able to understand all it is I'm talking about, and then go ahead and do your application yourself. I processed my application myself. I am not an immigration lawyer. I read links, and I prepared my application myself for submission for I and my family, and today we are in Canada. If I can do it, you too can even do better. Now, the government of Canada has a system called the Express Entry System, which is an online system used to manage applications for permanent residents from skilled workers. There are 3 programs that are managed through the Express Entry System, and that is the Federal Skilled Workers Program, the Federal Trade Workers Program, and the Canadian Experience Class Program. I'm going to be covering the Federal Skilled Workers Program because that's the program I applied through in this video, and I'm going to be breaking down the steps you need to take and the stages for applying for the permanent resident status through the Federal Skilled Workers Program. There is a tool that the government of Canada has created which is available on their website. Every of the information I'll be talking about in this video is public information which is available for you to view on the Government of Canada website. I have left links here for all the points I'll be making in this video, which you can explore after this video. In order for you to know if you qualify to come under the Federal Skilled Workers Program, the Government of Canada has created an eligibility tool. The title of that tool is Check Your Eligibility. And so if you go into that tool, you'll be required to fill in information about yourself that will tell you at the end of that process whether or not you qualify to immigrate to Canada as a skilled worker. The link is down below in the description section. Also, there's a tool called the Comprehensive Ranking System tool. This is a tool where you can put in all the factors for which you are giving points for when you go into the express entry pool to see what your score is going to be. This tool I find very important because you can play with different scenarios, you can play with different language proficiency scores, you can play with your educational qualifications, just testing different variables to see what your score is going to come to in the end. And when you compare it to all the previous scores that have come, all the cutoff marks that the government of Canada has issued during previous rounds of invitation, you'll be able to tell whether or not you'll be invited to apply for permanent residence. And so feel free to explore all of these tools, which are public information readily available to you on the Government of Canada website. Now I'm going to be giving you an overview of the Federal Skilled Workers Program. The Federal Skilled Workers Program has two major stages. The first stage is creating an express entry profile, and the second stage is submitting an application for permanent residence. Before you create an express entry profile, because the express entry system is a point-based system, so I'll say it again, it's a point-based system. There are different factors that give you points, and then the cumulative of this point sums up and gives you a total score, which is matched against the cut-off score for each round of invitation when the Government of Canada invites applicants to apply for permanent residence. And so all these factors that you are evaluated against are factors you have to be aware about, because some of them you would need to gather documents for those factors. Basically, before you create an express entry profile, you'll be concerned about your language proficiency tests, your age, your work experience, your educational credential assessment, and your adaptability factors. These are the 5 major factors that give you points when you create an express entry profile. You might want to ask, how do I obtain or get these documents, or what are these documents about? First of all, I would like to say if you're married, if your status is married, you and your spouse might have to sit down and decide who would be the best person to be the principal applicant. For me, in my own case, I was the principal applicant because I'm younger than my husband, and then I had an international credential, which is ACC UK, which was recognized by the evaluation body here in Canada, and so this gave me more points. And so I was the person who applied as a principal applicant on behalf of my family. You would have to decide between you and your spouse who the best applicant would be. If you're single, of course, you are the principal applicant, so you need not worry about this. You would have to also take into cognizance your age. Each year you turn a new age, your points drops by 5. So remember, I said the express entry system is a point-based system, and so each time you get to a next birthday, your points drop by 5. It actually happened to me when I created my express entry profile. So I created my express entry profile the week of my birthday. My birthday is December 18th, and my express entry profile was the 16th of December. And so I was in the pool for just 2 days. I had 462 as my points, and by my birthday, the 18th, after my birthday, my points dropped by 5. My point was already high based off of what I had seen from the rounds of invitation that had come previously, and so I wasn't really worried. I was in the express entry pool for just 1 week, because the next week there was a round of invitation that was done, and the cutoff score was 440, and I was already in the pool with 457. So automatically I was invited to apply for permanent residence. But your age is a factor in determining, in giving you points for the express entry pool. From 46 years and above, the point for age is 0. You get the highest point if your age is between 18 to 35 years of age. So keep that in mind. Another of the factor and document you need to get before you create your express entry profile is a language proficiency test. The government of Canada has approved tests that you can take for both English and French. English and French are the official languages here in Canada, and so they have specific exams and tests that will test your language, your level of understanding of these languages before you come to Canada. This is a requirement, and so you might want to begin registering for that exam because it gets filled up pretty quickly. You might want to begin registering for that exam and obtain your result before you create your express entry profile. There are 4 stages. So I'm going to be using an example of the IELTS test, which is organized by the British Council. The IELTS test has 4 sections. It tests your speaking, your listening, your writing, and your reading skills. You might want to aim to score a minimum of 8 in all of these sections, because the higher your score in this English test, the higher your point in the pool. And so you might want to aim to get as high as possible. If you can get 9 in all of the sections, amazing. That will give you even more points for the language proficiency factor. Another thing you might want to note is that the language proficiency test, so the IELTS, is valid for 2 years. And so when you obtain your test result, that test result is valid for 2 years. And so you might want to keep that in mind when you're applying or you're creating your express entry profile, to make sure that that test is still valid when you're submitting your application. If you want to practice for your IELTS exams, there are resources on YouTube that you can make use of. I personally made use of the resources available on YouTube, especially for the listening test. I made use of those resources and they were really helpful for me. I'm going to be moving quickly to the next factor that gives you points in the pool, which is education. You would have to evaluate your foreign educational credentials to equate to what it is in Canada. And so for this, the government of Canada has created or has approved organizations that evaluate your credentials. But this depends on your profession, so you would have to research each of these organizations to see the one that evaluates your profession, the credentials for your own profession. Depending on which of these organizations you choose, what you need to do is create a profile on their website, go to your schools and request for transcripts to be sent directly to these organizations, and then the outcome of the process is a report that you obtain. This report has an ID which you would need to enter when you create your express entry profile. Evaluating your credential is helpful even when you come to Canada, having that report, because some services and some institutions, like some educational bodies here, also require you to have that evaluation report, is just to match what your foreign qualification is with that of Canada. So it's really helpful to have that report at hand. I'm going to be moving also quickly to your work experience, how to claim or how to prove your work experience when you're creating your express entry profile. But before that, I would like to suggest that before you create your express entry profile, the first steps you might want to take is registering for your IELTS or your French exams, and also applying and starting the process for evaluating your credentials almost at the same time, because these reports and these results might take a while before you obtain them. So if you start both processes at the same time, the reports might just come in almost at the same time, and once you obtain those reports, then you are able to create your express entry profile. For example, for me, I began the process of immigration or of gathering my documents in June of 2017, and then I registered for the IELTS exam and I started the process of evaluating my credentials. And then it took me some time. I was only able, so you can imagine, I started the process in June of 2017 and I was only able to create my express entry profile in December of 2017. So it takes a while to obtain this report, and that is why you might want to start early. Now I'm going to be moving to how you can prove your work experience. Your work experience can be proved when you identify your NOC code. What is the NOC code? NOC simply means National Occupational Classification. This is a tool that is used by the government of Canada to identify professions, all of the different kind of occupations, and codes are assigned to each of these occupations. And so you would have to identify which of these NOC codes pertain to your specific profession. Be careful, just as a point of note, when you are selecting your NOC code, because at the point where you have to submit your final application for permanent residence, your responsibilities have to be written in that work reference letter, and your responsibilities on that work reference letter has to match or almost match the NOC code. And so you have to be careful and look closely at the underlines when you are selecting a NOC code. Try as much as possible to select a NOC code that is as close to your profession or to your responsibilities as possible. What you need, the requirement for applying for the Federal Skilled Worker Program is a minimum of 1 year of work experience. And if you have 6 years or more, you have higher points. So 6 years or more of work experience, you have higher points. Now, the last factor that is used to give you points is adaptability factors. The government of Canada wants you to integrate as quickly as possible into the Canadian society when you come over. And so they have created the adaptability factors as one of the factors that give you points when you're in the pool. Under the adaptability factor, you have the spouse factor. So if you're married, you have a spouse, and your spouse undertakes any of the language proficiency approved exams, for example, like the IELTS, and they obtain scores, you get points for that, additional points. If your spouse also evaluates their credentials with any of the approved evaluation bodies, you get points for that. But take note that there's a maximum amount of points that your spouse can contribute to your application. And also, another of the adaptability factor is relative. So if you have a relative in Canada, you are given points for that. If you have a brother, a sister, if you have a cousin, if you have an aunt, an uncle, a grandpa, a grandma, you are given points for that. And so these are the basic things that give you points under the adaptability factor. This is all I have to talk about in this video. My next video is I'm going to be talking about the second part, which is what to do when you are invited to apply for permanent residence. What documents do I need? At that stage, you'll be needing additional documents like your police report, your medical exam, your proof of fund, and your work reference letter. So if you have not done so already, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so that you are kept up to date with all of my current videos as they come. Please take as a point of note that you have 1 year to have an express entry profile. After 1 year, your express entry profile expires, and then you have to recreate an express entry profile. So I might want to suggest that you begin the process of gathering all of these documents before you create an express entry profile, so that your express entry profile does not expire before you are able to gather all of these documents. If you have any questions, please ask your questions in the comment section down below. And also, if there are any topics you would want me to cover or you want me to talk about or make a video about, please feel free to mention it in the comment section. Like, share this video as much as possible. It's public information anyway, so that anybody out there that's needing the information would have access to it. Thank you guys, and see you next time. Bye. Hi everyone, my name is Ivy. I'm back again as your host for the Canada Immigration Process Information Channel. I want to say thank you to all of you who have subscribed and have reached out to me with your comments and your questions. And I want to say thank you to all of you who have liked and who have shared my videos. And I would also like to say welcome to all those who are just viewing my video for the very first time. If you're viewing my video for the very first time, please, I'd ask that you explore the links I have put below this video. It will take you to all the previous videos I have done before this one. I have produced videos that talked about the process for applying for the Canadian permanent residence. It was a 2-series video I did talking about how to create an express entry profile and also how to submit an application for permanent residence. My first video was actually about is immigrating to Canada for me, the benefits and the challenges of being a permanent resident. So you might also want to view that video. The link is in the comment section below. My purpose of doing this video is because when I had my immigration success story written on LinkedIn, my LinkedIn profile went wild. And then a lot of people started asking me questions about how I was able to do the process myself from start to finish without the use of an agent. And I began answering a lot of different people individually, but then I felt it was so draining. And I tried to come up with a medium where I'm able to communicate the information out to a wide range of people seeking this information. And so that is the reason behind me creating this immigration process channel, in order to inform you of the process and the steps to applying for the Canadian permanent resident as a skilled worker. My video today, I'll be talking about how to improve your score when you're in the pool. So say for example, you have found yourself in the pool and then you have a score of say 400, and then the cut-off score in the rounds of invitation that has been issued by the Canadian government in the last 3 months has been above 400. So let's say it's been 420. It's been 420 and above in the last 3 months. All the cutoff score have been 420 and above, and you are in the pool with a score of 400. You might want to ask yourself, what do I do? Remember in my previous video, I had mentioned that when you create your express entry profile, your express entry profile has 1 year validity period, after which it expires. And so if you remain in the pool for 1 whole year, it would expire, and then you have to create a new express entry profile. So while you are in the pool, you have done so much to get to where you are. And so you might want to ask, how do I improve my score while I'm in the pool? I'm going to give you 4 different points upon which you can build in order to improve your score while you are in the pool. The first one is the language proficiency exam. So say for example, you have start taking the IELTS English exam, or you start for the French exam and you haven't gotten the maximum score in those exams. You might want to consider retaking those exams and aim for the highest points you can get in those exams. This is because the higher your points in these exams, the higher your CRS, your comprehensive ranking score in the pool. I have also attached a link in this video which you can use in playing around with the scores you would get depending on what your point is with the English test result. That tool is called a CRS tool, comprehensive ranking system tool, and it's available on the Canadian government website, which is public information available to you. Once you click on that tool, it takes you to a window where you can put in all your factors that summarizes and gives you scores. So just play around with the English scores and see what you get. The higher the scores you get on your language test result. Now, the next thing you can do in order for you to improve your score is education. The more certificates you have that are recognized by the government of Canada, the more points you have in the pool. And so, say for example, you have an advanced diploma and a BSc, and you have evaluated both certificates with the evaluation body here in Canada. Once you create your express entry profile, you're able to select 2 or more certificates. If you select 2 or more certificates, you have more points than someone that has just a BSc. If you have a master's degree, you have more points than someone that has 2 or more certificates. If you have a PhD, you have more points than someone that has a BSc. And so if you're in the pool and you have just a BSc, you might want to consider undergoing either a postgraduate diploma or taking a master's program, a 1-year program that would enable you to boost your score, because the more certificates you have, the more points you get. Now, thirdly, another thing you can do in order for you to increase your score while you're in the pool is getting a valid job offer from Canada. If you're able to get a job offer from an employer here in Canada that has a period of at least 1 year, there are points that are attached to that job offer. All you need to do is just update your express entry profile with that job offer, and then see your points increase, and which will better your chances of being invited to apply for permanent residence in the next round of invitation. Lastly, what I'm going to talk about is provincial nomination. So there are different provinces here in Canada. I think 10 to 11 provinces here in Canada. Each of these provinces have their provincial nomination program. So just like the express entry profile, the express entry program is run by the federal government, but each province, which is like states, in some countries we call it states, each province in Canada have their own provincial nomination program, which they use to invite eligible candidates in the pool to apply for permanent residence. And so if you're lucky enough to get one of those provincial nominations while you're in the pool, and you're given that a statement of nomination from the province, you are automatically entitled to more points. And so this will boost and increase your chance of being invited to apply for permanent residence. This is all I have for you today for this video. If you have not done so already, please feel free to hit the subscribe button and subscribe to my channel, and also the notification bell, so that you get informed whenever I post a new video. Feel free to share the video with as many people as possible so the information goes around, because it's public information. And ask any questions you would want to ask. Also, you could also post in the comment section below any topic you would want me to cover, or any topic you would want me to clarify. You could post that in the comment section below, and I'll be sure to do a video about that topic. The last point I had mentioned for improving your score, which is the provincial nomination, I'm going to do a separate video for that, covering what the provincial nomination process is, how you can apply for provincial nomination, the different provincial nomination processes in different provinces. I'm going to cover that in a separate video. So stay tuned so you don't miss all of the actions. And I hope you have a great day, you guys, depending on your time zone. Please have a great day. Bye. Hi everyone, this is Ivy, your host for the Canada Immigration Info channel. I would like to say thank you to all of you who have tuned in to my channel today. And I would like to say thank you to all of my subscribers who are subscribed to my channel. I hope I've been able to answer all of your questions. And thank you to all of you who have liked my videos and have given me feedback. Welcome to all of you who are new to my channel. And if you have not watched my previous videos, please take time out to watch all of those videos because they contain information about the process to apply for the Canada immigration permanent resident status. In this video, I'm going to be talking about the documents you need to submit your final application for permanent residence. So in my previous video before this one, I talked in details about how you need to gather those documents and what information needs to be on those documents. So if you haven't watched it, please feel free to go back to my channel and please watch it. In this video, I'm going to be giving you just a brief overview so you know those documents you need to submit when you are invited to apply for permanent residence. So you might wonder, at what stage do I need to gather this document? How does the process follow? I will just give you a short overview of how the process runs. So say you've created your express entry profile and now you're waiting in the pool for the round of invitation that would meet the score you have been allocated. And during the next round of invitation, you get the your score meets up the cutoff score or it's above the cutoff score, and then you are invited to apply. You receive an email that is titled Invitation to Apply for Permanent Residence. At this point, from when you receive that email, you have 60 days to gather all of your documents and to submit to the Central Intake Office in Canada for your permanent resident status. Now, some of these documents you might have to gather even while you're in the pool before you are invited to apply, just because it takes a while. For example, the police certificate, which I'm going to talk about shortly, might take a while. So first of all, the document you would need is your educational assessment report. That is the report you will get from the evaluation body here in Canada after your transcripts have been evaluated. The outcome of that evaluation is a report that will be sent to you. Upon receipt of that report, all you need to do when you create your express entry profile is enter that number. But when you have been invited to apply and then you need to submit your final application, you would need to upload that document as a soft copy. So all of the information you have entered when you created your express entry profile, now is the time for you to present the hard copy of those documents, including your English proficiency test. Once you have your educational assessment reports, the next document you would need to submit at this stage is your English proficiency test. So, for example, the IELTS organized by the British Council or the Canadian Language Benchmark English Test, whichever English proficiency test you have taken, the result which was given to you, you have to upload it at this stage. I'll give you a tip here on uploading your educational document. So all of the factors that you had submitted at the stage when you created your express entry profile would be in different sections when you want to submit your final application. And so, for example, your education, there's going to be one section for education where you need to upload that document. So you might want to upload all of your educational documents as one file. That would be your degree, university certificate, your educational credential assessment, and then your English proficiency test. You might want to upload all of them as one PDF file so that when your visa officer is reviewing them, he or she sees that as one file, and they don't have to look all over the place for the different documents because it all relates to education. And now the next document you need to submit at this stage would be your police certificate. So some countries takes longer to process your police certificate. And so depending on the country where you are, you might want to reach out to that authority that issues your police certificate to apply for that so that it comes before you receive the invitation to apply while you're still in the pool. And remember, in my previous video, I had said you need to provide police certificate reports for every country you have stayed for the last 6 months. So if you stayed in any country for 6 months and above, you have to get a police certificate from that country. And so, depending on that country, for example, if you did your master's somewhere else abroad, you did for 1 year, you have to get a police report from there. So, you have to communicate with the authority in that country for them to issue you that certificate. You might want to do that while you are in the pool, because you have just 2 months to submit your final application once you are invited to apply. Now, your police certificate, you're getting that for you and your spouse and any of your dependents over the age of 18 years. The next document you would need would be your medical exam report. You should have gotten that after you undertook your medical exam. Your medical exam report should be for you, your spouse if you're married, and your dependent children. Another document you will need to get is your digital passport. There's a specification for the digital passport you have to submit to the immigration authority here in Canada, and that specification can be found on their website. I'm going to put down the link in the comment section of this video so that once you're done, you can explore that link. You can print out that specification and take to the photo center where you would have that photo taken. There is specification, so you don't just take any size of photo. The next document that you would be submitting at this stage would be your proof of fund. That is a very important document. I'm going to do a separate video on proof of fund. My next video is going to be on proof of fund, what you need to present to show that you have enough funds for you and your family to settle successfully in Canada. I'm going to do a separate video on that. So your proof of fund document, be it your bank statement, your fixed deposit certificate or treasury bond certificate, whatever you want to present as your proof of fund, that certificate you need at this stage. Another thing you will be needing at this stage is if you're married, you need your marriage certificate and then your change of name. So if you're a lady and you changed your name from your maiden name to your married name, you need that change of name document. You also need newspaper publication where the change of name was advertised. So from countries like, for example, Nigeria, you need to get your newspaper publication, your marriage certificate, and your change of name document from the court where you got the change of name. Another tip is for you to attach all these in one PDF file when you're submitting this document for your marital status proof. Once you have created your express entry profile, that profile is what you use to track your application from start to finish to the point when you are sent your confirmation of permanent residence. And so you might want to keep an eye out, because once you upload all of these documents I've listed, there might be a notification in your account saying requesting for you to send additional documents. And so keep an eye out, because sometimes some people are also invited to come for interviews on very rare occasions. Some people are invited to come to their visa office for interviews. And so you might want to keep an eye out on your account to be sure that there's no notification that needs your attention. Also, one of the documents you might want to submit is a letter of explanation. A letter of explanation explains situations that the visa officer would be able to understand why you submitted certain documents. You need a letter of explanation to be able to explain that. I'm going to do a separate video for the letter of explanation, just to tell you different situations and scenarios where you might need a letter of explanation. All right, guys, that's all I have for you today. I hope I have been able to explain your questions and everything that you have asked me. From all of us here, I'd like to wish you a Merry Christmas and a very prosperous Happy New Year. Take care. And if you have any questions, please feel free to write in the comment window. Also, if you have not subscribed or hit the notification bell, please do that right at the bottom of this video so that whenever I post a video, you are the first to know. All right. Thank you and have a good day. Bye. Hi, guys. This is Ivy, your host of the Canada Immigration Information Channel. I hope you're doing amazing today. I'm doing amazing. It's a little freezing, but I'm doing amazing. And I hope you're all doing your holiday shopping, because there's a lot of shopping activities going on around now. Don't shop till you drop, please. Try to save some money for the new year that is coming in. I always like to start my video by saying thank you guys for those of you who have subscribed to my channel. And I also want to say thank you to all of you who have posted comments and giving me feedback on my video. It's really very helpful when I get those feedback, because then I know what to improve on, and the questions keep me informed as to what your expectation is on my next video. So if you want me to talk about a new topic on my next video, please feel free to post it in the comment section below, and I'll be sure to post a video on that topic. If you're new to my channel, I'd like to say welcome. If you haven't subscribed yet, please hit the notification bell and the subscribe button so that you get notified of all of my new videos that will be posted. Today, I will be talking about proof of fund. What is proof of fund? What is acceptable as proof of fund? And I'll also be talking about who needs proof of fund. So there's a category of applicants for the immigration process that do not need proof of fund. I'll be telling you about that. And I'll also be telling you what you need to do when you arrive Canada with your proof of fund. So if this video is for all those who have gotten to the stage of being invited to apply for permanent residence. In my previous video before this, so if you haven't watched my previous video, you might want to set out some time to take a look at those videos, because I've covered a whole lot of topics talking of all of the documents you need to submit once you are invited to apply for permanent residence. One of the main documents you need to submit at this stage is your proof of fund. And keep in mind that you have just 60 days to apply to submit your application for permanent residence. That will be your final application in this application step that you'll be submitting. You have just 60 days. So all of what you're doing from now on, even before you enter the express entry poll, you have to have an idea of what you need to present as your proof of fund. I'm going to be listing out all of the acceptable documents for you can use for proof of fund, and those documents that are not accepted as proof of fund. Please keep in mind that this information is public information, which is readily available to you on the Canadian government website. Below this video in the comment section, I'm going to post the link which you can click on, and then you would, voila, go into that section on their website where you can see all of this information. But I have comprised all this into one video to give you that information, my loyal listeners. First off, I'm going to be explaining what the proof of fund is. So the proof of fund is a document that typically shows how much you have to settle in Canada. That is in layman terms. Now, on the Canada government website, which I'll be posting in my comment window below this video, you would see that depending on your family size, you need a certain amount to settle in Canada. So there's a minimum amount. So for example, a family of 4 have a certain minimum amount they need to present to show that they'll be able to settle here in Canada. That amount, as I say, it's minimum. You can have over and above that amount. The more money you bring into Canada, the better for you. It helps you to settle quicker. Because, for example, when you land in Canada, you need to find accommodation for you and your family. And so if you don't have family or friends here in Canada when you arrive, sometimes it can be a little bit challenging, just because some landlords might be requesting things like reference letters from your previous landlord, which you don't have here in Canada, or reference letters from family or relatives that can stand for you in good standing and assure them that you'll pay your rent. Or they might be looking for job letters showing that you have employment and then you can sustain the rent. But all of that, as a new immigrant, you don't have. And so as a result of that, some landlords can ask for rent of 3 months upfront, or 6 months, or in some cases even 1 year. And so the more you bring, the more money you have on hand when you come in Canada, the easier it is for you to settle down, especially when you have kids. Trust me, especially when you have kids, you need to have enough funds when you're coming. And so the amount you see for your family size on the Government of Canada website is the minimum you should have when you are coming to Canada. And so I want to talk about the proof of fund. So that proof of fund is what you need to settle in here. It's your money. Nobody's taking it from you. That's what you need to settle and to help you ease in the new country because you're in a new environment. That money is all yours. You should have it in your account or in an investment account, but it should be readily available to you. Now, there's the emphasis that the government of Canada makes that that money should belong to you. And so that money is not expected to be borrowed from anybody. That money should belong to you because you need it to settle in once you come in here. No government wants a liability in their country. I'm sure you can understand that. And so that money should be readily available for your use. It shouldn't be borrowed so that once you get in, you're able to settle. I'm going to list out some of all of the acceptable documents that you can use as your proof of fund. The very first one is your 6-month bank statement. So if you have a running balance in your account for 6 months that doesn't show a full lump sum just came into your account in that 6 months, that will be very helpful for you. Because if you have just one lump sum that came into your account, it looks off, like you never had that money. So it looks like that money must have come from somewhere that might not have been your own source. And so there should be a healthy running balance in your account for that period of 6 months when you submit your 6-month bank statement, if you choose to go that route. Another document you can submit is the fixed deposit certificate or the term deposit or the time deposit. People in different financial institutions call it differently. A fixed deposit is an amount, is a fund that you put into an account for a period of time. It accrues interest in that account, and after that period of time, you are able to get your principal and the interest it has accrued. You can fix that money for a period of, say, 30 days, 60, 90 days, 120 in some cases, depending on how long you want that money fixed. And so for the purpose of your immigration application, you might want to fix that amount for between 60 to 90 days or 60 to 120 days so that it's proof enough that that money actually belongs to you. Another document you can submit as your proof of fund is a treasury bill certificate or bond certificate or mutual fund certificate. So whichever you have, you can submit as your proof of fund. And I also want to make a note that you don't have to have one of these documents. You don't have to have all the fund in one of this type of investment. So for example, you can have some of your proof of fund in mutual funds, or you can have some of your proof of fund in treasury bills, or you can have some of it in fixed deposits or even in the bank. You can have them from different sources. But then that's why you would need a letter of explanation to be able to explain to your visa officer that all of these funds are yours and they all come together to make up what you need to settle in Canada, to meet up the number of the size of your family, what you need to settle in Canada. The letter of explanation is a very vital document for this application process. I'm going to be doing a separate video on that to explain scenarios where you need a letter of explanation, because this immigration process, all through this process, you might not have human interaction with anybody. Everything is done online. And so you should be able to submit a document where a layman looking at it would understand what you are trying to explain, not just pile different documents and submit, and somebody is looking and they don't know, it's all over the place. That's where the letter of explanation comes in. You're able to explain, I have this amount in mutual funds, I have this amount in fixed deposit. You explain and it all comes together. And then anybody looking at it understands, this is what I'm looking at. It all comes together to make up that proof of fund. And if you're married, your spouse can transfer money from their account into your own account, or you can make use of your joint account also. But your spouse will also need to write a letter of explanation. Letter of explanation is very key in this process. I'm going to be doing a separate video. It's really key for you to have letter of explanation. And so these are the documents that are accepted: 6-month bank statement, fixed deposit certificate, mutual fund certificate, treasury bills, bond certificates. All these are documents that are accepted by the Canadian government to show as proof that you have enough money to settle down with your family in Canada. Now, in addition to these documents that you have, you would need a letter from your financial institution that states how much you have currently, the date you opened that account. So it's not like you just open an account now because you wanted to do this process. It should have been a running account. You're also going to, that letter is also should also have the contact information of the financial institution for confirmation. It should have all of their email addresses, their website, and all the information that the bank has should be on that letter, and it should be on their letterhead. Now, the documents that are not accepted as proof of fund is number one, real estate property documents. So if you have a home, the official document you have for your home is not accepted as proof of fund. You might have to liquidate that property and turn it to cash, because your proof of fund is meant to be readily available to you. A real estate property is just has land value. It has a fair value. It doesn't have the amount you would need to, for example, pay rent when you come here. It's until you get somebody to buy, it's subjective. And so that document, the paper of a real estate property is not accepted. Another source of fund that is not accepted is borrowing. So if you borrow from somebody and then you have to give the person back, that is not accepted. But you can receive a gift from somebody, like from a parent or from a relation. You can receive a gift, but for that you have to get a gift deed from that person that is giving you that gift. Now I will talk about the programs you would apply for that you need to show a proof of fund, and the ones you don't need to show proof of fund. The programs you apply under where you need to show proof of fund, number one is the Federal Skilled Workers Program. You have to show proof of fund for that. Also, if you're applying through the Federal Trade Workers Program, you have to show proof of fund. The ones where you don't need to show proof of fund is number one, if you're applying through the Canadian Experience class, you don't need to show proof of fund. Number two, if you have work authorization, so if you have work permit to work in Canada and you have a valid job offer for 1 year, you wouldn't need to show proof of fund. These are the situations where you don't need proof of fund. Please keep in mind that when you arrive in Canada, if you're carrying any amount above $10,000, either in cash, in check, in bank drafts, in whichever form, in stock, in bond, certificates, you have to declare that to the immigration officer at the point of entry. So when you land in the airport, you have to declare if you're carrying over $10,000. That's all I have for you guys today for proof of fund. If you have any questions about this or any other topic you would like me to cover, please feel free to comment in the window below, and I'll be sure to answer all of your questions. Thank you guys once again for watching, and keep an eye out for all of my videos by subscribing and hitting the notification bell. Thank you. Bye. Hi guys, this is Ivy, your host for the Canada Immigration Info channel. How have you been since the last time I was here? I hope you've been doing amazing. I've been keeping amazing, and I hope you have been doing amazing. I want to say thank you to all of my subscribers who have subscribed to my video, and all those who have posted likes and comments and asked questions on this video. Your questions are informs me of what you expect to see, and this helps me to decide which video to make next. In this video, I'll be talking about letter of explanation, and this is still under the topic of what you need to submit when you have been invited to apply for permanent residence. Like I said in my previous video, you have 60 days to submit your permanent residence application once you receive an invitation to apply. One of the major documents you'll be needing to submit with your application is your letter of explanation. The letter of explanation is not a compulsory document, but the letter of explanation helps the visa officer to understand your submission, the documents you have submitted. And so for me, is the key to this application. The letter of explanation is very key. For me personally, when I submitted my application, I submitted 7 letters of explanation explaining the different factors I had submitted for, which covered education, police certificates, my international passport, my work experience, my proof of fund. I submitted letter of explanations for all of these stages, because remember, in this Canada immigration process, you hardly come in contact with anybody. There's no human contact. All of the application process you do is online, is completely online. For me, for example, I never came across anybody until I arrived Canada. When you are sent your, so after you submit your final application and then you are given, granted a permanent resident status, you'll be required to courier your passport and that of your dependent to your visa office. And so for me, my visa office was Dubai. And so I had to courier all of our passport to Dubai. It gets stamped and then it's sent back to you with the permanent resident visa and then with the confirmation of permanent residence letter. I never saw anybody face to face. And so the only opportunity I had to explain my unique situation was through the letter of explanation. This is a very vital document when you are submitting your final application for permanent resident status. And so in this video, I'm going to be telling you different scenarios in which you might need to submit a letter of explanation. Please keep in mind that everybody's situation is unique. And so for some people, they might be needing to submit 3 letter of explanations to cover 3 topics. For some other persons, they might be needing to submit over 7 letter of explanation, depending on your unique situation. And so I'm just going to be giving you some scenarios so you have an understanding of what the letter of explanation should cover and what it should be explaining. One of these scenarios I'm going to talk about now is your international passport. So when you want to travel outside your country, now you would have needed your international passport from your country in order to take your language proficiency test and for some other things that you might have done in this process. And so I'm sure all of you might already have your international passport. But for those of you that never traveled out of your country, you never had a visa stamp on your international passport. And so your international passport is blank. And so probably you had a previous international passport that expired and then you never traveled out, so it was never stamped. And now you got a new one just because that one expired. And this one also is not stamped. And so you don't submit the pages that have already been stamped in your previous passport that expired. So the Canada, the immigration authority here in Canada expects you to scan pages of the visas that you have in your international passport. But where you have not traveled, you don't have that pages. And so you might want to write a letter of explanation saying, the reason I did not submit the pages of my previous passport booklet is because I never traveled out of my country and so I don't have any stamp. That is one important note. Now, because, before I proceed further, I want to say that once you create your Express entry profile, that account is what you maintain up until when you get your confirmation of permanent residence. And so that is the communication window between you and your visa office or your visa officer. When you submit your documents, they might require you to submit additional documents. That is where you get messages and notifications of any message your visa officer sends you. You get it from your account, from that profile you had created when you created your Express entry profile. That is your account for the immigration process. And so sometimes if you don't submit the complete documentation, or sometimes they view a document during your application review and it's not understood by your visa officer, then they would send you a message or a notification requiring you to send additional documents within a very short time. And so in order to avoid as much as possible you having those messages or notifications saying, please send us additional documents, you have to package your application before you submit it finally. You have just 60 days from when you get your invitation to apply to submit your final application. And so you have to package it. So while you're still in the Express entry pool, now would be a good time to think of all of those documents I had listed in my previous video that you need to submit for your final application process. You need to think of how you want to get all of those documents to submit. Another scenario you might need a letter of explanation might be if you're married, and like in some countries, when a lady gets married, she changes her name from her maiden name to her married name. You might want to write a letter of explanation that says, this was my previous name, because some of your documents might reflect your maiden name. For example, your degree, your university degree might have your maiden name because when you were in university, you weren't married. And so some of your documents might have your maiden name, other of your documents might have your married name. And so you might want to write a letter of explanation saying, this was my name before I got married, and this was my name now that I'm married. So that once your visa officer is looking at your application documents, they are able to reconcile that both people are one and the same person. It is very important to be able to explain something so that even when you're not present there, anybody that is reviewing it understands what they are looking at, and then there's no delay in your application process. Because when they start sending you additional information requests, there's delay in your application process. They have to wait until you submit that document, and then it goes through the process of them having to review and check if they need more document. In order to avoid all of those back and forth, the best thing for you to do is package your application in such a way that you would have minimal or no communication until you receive your permanent resident status. Another situation where you might need to write a letter of explanation pertains to your job. So say, for example, you work in a company where you're paid by cash. And normally in your application, you're expected, in your submission of your final application, you're expected to have a pay stub attached with your work reference. But if you were working in a company that pays you by cash, you don't have a pay stub. And so you might want to write a letter explaining that you have not attached a pay stub to your work experience document because your company paid you in cash. That is another situation you might need a letter of explanation. Another situation you might need a letter of explanation is your proof of fund. The proof of fund is the main aspect where you need the letter of explanation, because you have to explain as a proof how you got that money, how the money belongs to you. You would have to explain if you have different investments you're bringing together to make up that sum. You might have to write a letter of explanation to explain how that fund came about. Also, if you're married and your spouse is transferring some funds to you, your spouse might have to write a letter of explanation telling the visa officer that he or she has transferred this money to you on this date and they don't expect to receive that money back. So that money was gifted to you for the immigration process. It's very important to have that letter in place, because then you're explaining, I got this lump sum of money on this date. This money came from my spouse, and he or she is not expecting me to pay this money back. And so your spouse has to write that letter of explanation for you. And then you're putting that when you submit your proof of fund. All of your proof of fund documents, as a tip, should be in one PDF file. All of it should be arranged in one PDF file. So you have your letter of explanation as the first page. As a second page, you might want to prepare a table of contents that contains all of the pages that refers your visa officer to the page where they can find, for example, your fixed deposit certificate, the pages where they can find your bank statement, your 6-month bank statement. You have to refer them to those pages. It's very important to be very organized in this process, because it makes it easier for whomever is reviewing it to review it on time, and so that there's a shorter turnaround time for you. Another situation where you might need a letter of explanation is in your education. So say, for example, you undertook a correspondence education. What I mean by correspondence education is you were in your country and then you did, for example, an online master's where the school is based in a different country. It's called a correspondence education. You never went to that country, but you got a certificate from that country. Your certificate never says that degree was an online degree. It never says it was an online or it was a remote degree. It never says that. And so you might want to write a letter of explanation saying you weren't physically present in that country, and so that's why you don't have a police report from that country. Because keep in mind that any country where you stayed 6 months or over, you have to present a police certificate, a police report. And so if you're presenting a degree that you had obtained, you had done a 1-year program, say, for example, you had done a 1-year program in a country outside your own country, and then you would have to present that certificate. The visa officer is like, I'm getting this certificate, but there's no police certificate, there's no police report for that country where you got that certificate. But you know you never went to that country. That degree was by correspondence because you did it online. This is where the letter of explanation comes in. You would have to explain that that degree was by correspondence, and so you didn't need to get a police report for that certificate or from that country. Now I'm going to talk. So these are just different scenarios I'm giving you. Everybody's situation is unique. For some people, you might not need to write all of this because it doesn't pertain to you. For some others, you might even need to write more. I'm just trying to make you understand that you have to explain as much as possible. You're not in that room to explain to the person. The person is reviewing documents. And so in that document, you have to try and make it as clear as possible. Now, the format of this letter is just a regular formal letter, the way you write a formal letter. Your name, your contact, your physical address, your email address, and your phone number would be on one side of the page. And then the address where you're going to send it to is the central intake office. I'm going to write fully that address in the comment section below. And so you can look at that. That's the address. That's where you're going to address it to. And so you write as your title, letter of explanation for example, for my education, or for example, for police report. Make it as clear and as precise as possible. This is all I have for you guys. I hope you have enjoyed my video like I have speaking with you today. If you have any questions, please feel free to write in the comment section and I'll be sure to reach out to you. I hope you guys stay safe. Be kind to one another. I hope you guys have a great holiday. I'm having the best time, so I hope you have a very good time too. Thank you. And if you haven't subscribed, please feel free to hit the notification bell and the subscribe button, and you will get notified once I post a new video. Thank you. Bye. Hi everyone, my name is Ivy. I would like to say welcome to my YouTube channel, the Canada Immigration Process Information Channel. For those of you that have been watching and following my videos, I would like to say thank you. And for those of you that are new here today, I would like to say welcome. If you haven't subscribed yet, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so that you can get updates about my upcoming videos. Like and share this video. It's public information available to you on the Canadian government website. Like I said, my name is Ivy. I immigrated to Canada in July of 2018, and so I'm 1 year in Canada this month. I did my application process myself, and so I have compiled this video in order to tell you the process I went through, the steps you need to take for those of you interested in immigrating to Canada, and to also let you know you can do it yourself if I was able to do it myself. This is a series of videos that has been going on. This is my third video. I have attached the links to the previous videos I have done in the description window, so feel free after this video to explore it and then watch those videos. The last one I did before this video was the first part that I talked about, the first stage of creating your express entry profile when you want to start the process of applying for Canadian permanent resident through the Federal Skilled Workers Program. In this, in the second series of this video, I'm going to be talking about what you need to do when you are invited to apply for permanent residence. There are documents that you are required to have gathered in the first stage when you are creating your express entry profile, which is your educational evaluation reports, and then your language proficiency test result, IELTS, or your French test result. All of this information is needed to be uploaded when you are going to submit your final application. But additional documents are required at this stage. The first of that document is your police certificate. Different countries issue police certificate, and so you would have to reach out to the security agency in charge of issuing that certificate in your country. The certificate has different validity periods. So for some countries it's 1 month, for some countries it's 2 months. Inquire the validity period of the country you are in so that your police certificate report is still valid by the time you're submitting your permanent residence application. The next thing is that you would have to get this police certificate report for every member of your family that is over the age of 18 years old, whether or not they are coming with you to Canada. Another thing is that you have to apply for every country you have stayed in the last 10 years for a period of 6 months in a row. So for some of you who have done your master's in a country other than your country and your master's lasted 1 year, you have stayed in that country for 6 months and above, and so you would need to reach out to that country to ask for a police certificate. So in the last 10 months, I have attached the link where you could read up all this information available for you on the Canadian government website down in the description. Another thing you would have to know about the police report is when you're applying when you want to submit your application, you have to scan the original of the police certificate. As much as possible, be transparent in your application. This is because there is a ban of 5 years that comes with misleading information being provided in your application. So be as transparent as you can be. The next document you will need to gather at this stage is your medical examination test. For all of the members of your family coming with you to Canada and those that are not coming with you, as long as you mention them in the application, everyone has to undergo the medical exam test. The government of Canada has a list of panel physicians on their website, or depending on the country where you are, that is approved to carry out this test. So check out the link at the bottom of this video where you would see the list depending on the country that you are in. Once you are done with the test, you will have to obtain an information sheet, print out from the medical examiner, and this sheet is what you would upload when you are submitting your application for permanent residence. You have to arrive in Canada 1 year from the date you carry out your medical examination. So you might want to try as much as possible to perform to carry out your medical exam as close as possible to when you'll be submitting your application for permanent residence. The third thing you have to have in place is your proof of fund at this stage. You need a document that shows that you have enough money to cater for you and your family when you are coming to Canada. Depending on your family size, the government of Canada has a table that specifies the amount of money you would need to settle in for a particular time. I have also attached that link in the bottom of this video in the description window. Kindly explore to see how much you need to come to Canada depending on your family size. If you have a job offer, you do not need proof of fund. And also, if you are applying through the Canadian Experience class, you do not need the proof of fund. These are the only two scenarios where you do not need a proof of fund. Anything outside that, you need a proof of fund to show that you can cater for your family depending on your family size. I'll be doing a separate video talking about what is acceptable as proof of fund that the government of Canada accepts. That will be a separate video in another part. Lastly, I'll be talking about your work reference. So you would need a work reference from your organization or from your employer, wherever it is that you work, that details your responsibilities, details your work hours, details the duration of time you have worked in that company, that also talks about if it's a current or a non-current job. And that document should be signed by your supervisor, and it should have your company seal or your company stamp, and it should also be on your company letterhead, which shows the company address. Remember when I talked about the NOC, so the National Occupational Classification, in my previous video, you would need all the responsibilities on your work reference to come as close as possible to what you have in your selected NOC code. This is all I have for you guys today. If you have any questions, please feel free to comment in the comment window and I'll be sure to answer all of your questions. If you haven't hit the subscribe button yet, hit the subscribe button please, so that you get information about all of my upcoming videos. I have also put in this video below the description my LinkedIn page and that of my spouse, just so you explore and then you be encouraged in this process, because you need that when you're in this process. If there's any topic you would want me to shoot a video about, please let me know, and then I'll cover that topic to let you know. Thank you again, guys. I hope you have a great day. I've been having a warm summer here in Canada, and I hope you have a great day. Thank you once again for watching my video. Bye. Hi everyone, my name is Ivy. I'm the host of the Canada Immigration Info channel. I would like to start by saying, how are you guys doing? I'm doing awesome and amazing as always, and I hope you and yours are doing also. I want to also start by saying thank you to every single one of you who has watched my videos, all of you who have subscribed to my videos, all of you who have liked and shared my videos, those of you who have sent me comments, questions, those of you who have sent encouraging words. You are the reason the Canada Info Immigration channel is still going on, and I'd like to say thank you very much at this time. In this video, I'll be talking about the benefits of immigrating to Canada as a permanent resident. Canada has so many immigration channels through which you can come into Canada, but today I'm going to be focusing on coming to Canada, the benefits that you receive as a permanent resident in Canada. For those of you who are just watching my video for the very first time, I have done a lot of videos that covers the step-by-step process of how you can apply to come to Canada as a skilled worker through the express entry system for skilled workers. I also did a video that talked about, is immigrating to Canada for me, the benefits and the challenges. So if you haven't watched that video, please take time out to watch that video. If you watch the video, my video on is immigrating to Canada for me, benefits and challenges, and your answer to that question was yes, immigrating to Canada is for me, then here is the right place for you to be. Very quickly, I'm going to jump into the benefits of immigrating to Canada as a permanent resident. I've taken my time to outline about 15 or 16 items that will break down for you what you stand to gain and what you stand to enjoy, you and your dependents, if you immigrate to Canada as a permanent resident. The first point on my list is the standard of living in Canada. In 2016, the UN ranked Canada as the 9th out of 200 countries that has the highest standard of living. And this measurement of the standard of living has to do with the ability of the country to provide the basic amenities for its citizens. It also has to do with the ability of the country to have a good economy. For a country to have a good economy, it means that they are able to provide certain resources and basic amenities for the citizens. And so this is one of the benefits that Canada has. It has a very high standard of living for its citizens. In Canada, you'll be sure that you will not go hungry. That's one thing in Canada, because there's work and opportunities for everybody. If you want to work and put in the work, there's work available for you to do, and this ensures that you and your family is taken care of. Even people go out of their way to take care of extended family just by what they earn here in Canada, because the standard of living is really very high. And think about the ripple effect of what this has, living in a country that has a very high standard of living. It reduces the crime rate in the country because everybody is comfortable. 95% of the people are comfortable. I mean, what more are you asking for? And so this creates a safe environment for everyone to stay in. This creates a sane environment for everyone to stay in. This reduces the amount of angry people you have on the street, you know, I mean, because everybody is busy, relaxing, enjoying their life. The basic amenities of what they want for themselves and their children are provided for. So what more are you asking for? The standard of living is one key factor that you enjoy if you come to Canada as a permanent resident. Another benefit of coming to Canada as a permanent resident is the medical health insurance. Now, if you come to Canada as a permanent resident, the health insurance benefit is available for free for you and all of your dependents. Once you arrive in Canada, 3 months after you arrive, your health insurance card would arrive in your mail. And that health insurance card you can use as a material to walk into any clinic or any hospital and present, and you are attended to, you and your dependents. I've come across some people here in Canada that don't have the health insurance, and trust me, it's really very expensive because Canada has state-of-the-art health infrastructures and facility, and so it's really expensive to get healthcare without having health insurance. The health insurance is funded by the government, and it's taking care of for you and your dependents. And think about children. Children are growing and they always have different issues that they come across as they grow through different stages of their life. They have immunization, they have dental care, they have eye care, they have different checkup that they have to go for. But it's all free. Even most medicines for children are free when you go into a walk-in clinic to access the healthcare there. And so this is a very major benefit that you can receive by being a permanent resident here in Canada. Another of the benefits, if you immigrate to Canada as a permanent resident, is safety and security. Canada is a very safe country, like I mentioned in the standard of living. The standard of living has already gone before the safety and security. It precedes it, because where most people in the society is comfortable already, it reduces the risks of crimes, being committed. And another thing that is a very big issue with our world today is the issue of gun violence. In many countries around the world, there's an issue of sporadic shooting, people just getting up and even going into schools to shoot, but those incidents are very few, like in the country of Canada. And this is because owning a gun in Canada is illegal. Only 1/3, according to a survey, only 1/3 of the population in Canada actually own guns. And so this has reduced the risks of sporadic outbursts by people who are offended or who just want to take vengeance against other people. The country is a safe place. I'm going to read out a ranking to you that was done by The Economist in 2007. In 2007, The Economist rated Canada as the most peaceful country in the world. Also, Canada was also ranked in 2016 as the number 2 country that promotes personal freedom. In the context of the personal freedom, it measures personal freedom as promoting legal rights. So legal rights are enforceable. If you have any issues, you can go into a law court and you're sure that your issue will be fixed for you. It also promotes individual freedom. It promotes social tolerance also. And so all these are things that makes Canada a very safe and secure country for you and your dependents, especially for your kids. Because imagine your kids walk to school every day. You want to be sure that your kids are coming back to you unscathed and unscratched. You don't want to have any issues with your kids going back, and then you hear stories like we hear in some countries that happen. Those kind of issues are things that rarely happen here in Canada, which makes the country a very safe country to be in. Another benefit of coming to Canada as an immigrant is the growing economy. So Canada's economy since 2016 has been growing by 4.3%, and this continues to grow. The IMF and the World Bank rated Canada as the 20th out of 25 richest countries in the world, and that is a very good figure. Also, Canada is a very powerful country, and it's a member of the G8. It's also a member of the OECD. The OECD here is the Organization of Economic it's the Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development. That's what the OECD is. Canada is a member country of these great organizations, and so it's a growing economy. Everybody contributes their quota in the economy. Immigrants also contribute a large portion of the growth of the economy. The per capita income in Canada is very high per household, and so these are all benefits. These are all things that you enjoy as being a member of this society called Canada. Another benefit that Canada has is the immigration channels through which you can come to Canada. And so that's what my channel focuses on. It focuses on the immigration programs that the government of Canada has put in place in order to help people from all over the world who want to immigrate into Canada. In my previous videos, I focused on how you can immigrate to Canada as a skilled worker. But I'm going to do subsequent videos that are going to address how to come to Canada through the provincial nomination program. So that is a separate program through which you can come into Canada.
There's another program that is called the Federal Skilled Trades Workers Program. It's also an immigration program process. And then there's another one that is called the Canada Experience Class. So you can choose either of these ones to immigrate through. But the umbrella under which all of these different programs sit is the Express Entry System. I explained the express entry system in details in my previous videos. And so if you've not watched them, I'm putting all the links to my previous videos in the bottom comment section of this video. Feel free to access it. And when you click on those links to watch the videos, I also have links, government links, that will direct you straight to the Canada government immigration website, where you can also access information that would also help you with the process. Very briefly, I'm just going to give you an overview for those of you who don't know about these programs. Now, the Express Entry System is an immigration system that was created by the Canadian government. The Express Entry System is online. Everything is online. And so you can either choose which program, depending on what your qualification is, you can choose which program you want to come under. I personally came under the Skilled Workers Program because that was what I qualified for. I am a chartered accountant, and so that was what I came under. My spouse is HR professional, and so that was what we qualified under. We came through the Skilled Workers Program. Another of the programs is the Provincial Nomination Program. The Provincial Nomination Program is different provinces that it gets immigrants, different provinces open up applications for prospective applicants to come through. And so if you're interested in settling in a particular province, you can go for the Provincial Nomination Program, but you still have to have an express entry system profile. And so because the express entry profile is the umbrella that covers all of these programs, you still have to have an express entry profile, and you have to meet the minimum requirement of the express entry profile in order to qualify for the provincial nomination program. The difference between the provincial nomination program and the skilled workers program is that for the provincial nomination program, each province nominates candidates based on their occupation. So they do an evaluation of their labor market. Each province does an evaluation of their labor market, and they determine which occupation is most needed in the province at that particular time. And so the types of occupation they would invite people at a particular time, for example, this month, might be different from the occupation they would invite people for in September. And so you always have to constantly check the website of each province to see when your profession will come up, because it's only those specific professions that they accept applicants for at that particular point in time. That's the difference. But for the skilled workers program, the skilled workers program is open to all occupations. Now we also have the skilled trades workers program. The skilled trades workers program targets people who are in the technical field. So people like mechanics, people that work like chefs, people that are bakers, people that are construction workers. The skilled trades program targets that class of people. You really don't need a formal education in order to apply through the skilled trades workers program. And the government, like from my research, I found that the government targets the skilled trades workers program 2 times in a year. And the score that you have to get, because the express entry system is a comprehensive score ranking system. It scores you depending on your factors like your education, your age, your English proficiency score, your work experience. It scores you based on all of those factors and gives you a certain point. For the trades, the point that you need to get in order to be invited is much more significantly lower than you need to get for the skilled workers, because the skilled workers, you have to have formal education, and the higher your formal education, the higher your points. That's how it works. And so all of these systems are what the government of Canada has put in place to encourage immigrants to come into the country, because they've recognized that immigrants help to develop the country, because these are people that have wealth of experience coming from different countries, people that have different cultures, they have different systems that they've gone through, different exposures that they've gone through, so they have different things to contribute to the society. And the government of Canada recognizes this, encourages it through the immigration systems that they've made available to you. If you want to know more about this program, please feel free to watch all of my videos, and I'll put the link in the comment section down below. The next benefit of coming to Canada as an immigrant is this: Canada is immigrant friendly. There was a survey that was carried out, and it was said that out of the 37.5 million Canadian people, 20% are immigrants that come from different countries. I mean, like different countries. I remember when I first came into this country and I used to use the busing system. I used to meet people of different colors, like you don't even know where people are from, people speaking different languages. It was so interesting and very exciting. And then nobody is judging you, because when you come into a country for the very first time, you have to settle in. And in you settling in, you have to go in contact with different organizations. So for example, you want to obtain your driver's license, or for example, you have to take your kids to put your kids into school. You come in contact with different organizations, different service organizations. No single of those people that work there, at least for me, from my experience, I never received any kind of cold behavior or unaccepting behavior. Everybody is so welcoming, everybody is so kind. So it's an immigrant friendly country. I will give you statistics because I always love statistics. It makes the picture clearer for you. One body carried out a survey, and they ranked Canada as the third out of 148 nations in the social capital sub-index. The social capital sub-index, it measures the strength of personal relationships, social networks, social norms, and civic participation. So how the social network is, even in your neighborhood, how the social network is in your workplace, how the social network is in the schools. How is it? How is the receptiveness of other people to your culture? And from what I've seen so far, I've been here since 2018. It's not judgmental at all. Everybody recognizes where you come. They are intrigued. They want to know about where you came from. It's not like anyone is putting you down, which is very encouraging. It's a safe environment for our kids to grow up in. And one of the things that the government of Canada has put in place in order to help immigrants who are coming into the country to settle in properly is pre-arrival services. I attended a lot of those ones before I came here, trust me, because I love research. I love to do research. And so I researched a lot of those organizations, and I subscribed, I filled out the application to join those programs before I came to Canada. Those programs teach you what to expect. They teach you about the culture of Canada. They teach you about the workplace culture in Canada. They even help you write your resume. They help you write your cover letter. They tell you what to expect. They tell you things you should do. Once you come in, what's the first thing you do? How to get your driver's license, how to register your kids for school, the services that the government of Canada has in place to help immigrants. It's so helpful when you attend those programs. A country that wants you to succeed by you coming in. It's not just, it's from what I've seen in my own personal experience and in my opinion, it's not just about you coming in and to add to the economy, contribute your own quota to the economy and make the economy flourish. The country is concerned about your well-being, and is concerned about the well-being of your dependents and of your immediate family. They have things like that they call like super parents visa, super grandparents visa. So it's easier for your parents and your grandparents to come visit you or to come visit the kids, just so that you are able to blend in, you're able to glide into the culture without having too much cultural shock, which many people experience. When you go to a new place for the very first time, you experience cultural shock because it's an environment that you're not used to. It's not very easy for you. It's not very easy for the kids. But for us, in my own personal experience, when we came here, once we came here, the next week I was already on buses, I was already on trains, going to see recruiters to get jobs. All I needed to do was just plot the address I was going into my Google map, and zoom, it tells me the bus to enter, it tells me the train to enter. I was everywhere. When I tell people I just came into Canada last week, they don't believe it. I just came into Canada last week because I was everywhere. Why? It was because I prepared myself before I came in here. And how did I prepare myself? All those tools were already made available for me to be successful by the Canadian government. There was a program that we attended in Canada, in Nigeria. Sorry, I'm from Nigeria. For those of you that don't know, yes, I'm proudly from Nigeria. Nigeria, we say in my place where we come from, Nigeria no they carry last. That's where I'm from. Yes, and so I and my spouse attended a program that was organized by the Canadian government before we came here. It's called Planning for Canada. That program brought together, they invited, I think we were about 20 persons that participated in that program. All of us had gotten our permanent residence um, status, like they had given us our letters of confirmation of permanent residence. All that was left for us was to leave Nigeria and arrive in Canada. And so they organized this session in a hotel, all expense paid. Like the food was free, and trust me, I like free food. And so the food was free. Everything was, they told us information about the weather, about the schools, about what to expect, what you do when you come here, about your occupation. You know, it was a full day session, and they took their time to tell us all this. I'm like, what is going on here? Is this a country that does this? I mean, we've gotten the permanent residence already, and still you just want us to succeed. That is what Canada is. It's an immigrant friendly country. You know, I love it. I love it. I've had no regrets. It's almost 2 years since I've been in this country, and I've had no regret for one day since I've come to this country. But of course, it's left to you. It's your choice to make. These are just my own experiences that I'm sharing with you. Another benefit of coming to Canada as a permanent resident is that Canada has renowned educational institutions. Talking about the education, Canada, from kindergarten to grade 12, the education is free. So elementary school to high school, education is free. If you call it primary school to secondary school, like some countries call it, education is free. Public primary, public secondary, public elementary, public high schools are all free. And so you have the opportunity to send your kids to school all for free. But Canada also has private schools, like private elementary schools and private high schools. It's your choice if you choose to pay for it. But the standard of education in the public schools are really very high. Like they teach the children very, very, like the curriculum that they have is really of very high standard. And Canada also has public colleges and universities and private colleges and universities. The fees that you pay when you attend a public college or university is substantially lower than what you pay if you attend a private university. Canada is also a country that houses 4 of the Ivy League Canada schools. They're among the best schools in the world, like the McGill University, like the University of British Columbia, the University of Toronto, and Queen's University. All these are their Ivy League schools here in Canada. And so Canada has a very high standard of education, which is a very good thing for you to receive, for your kids to receive, because then you're sure that they are able to compete with anybody around the world. It's really a very good advantage. Another benefit of coming to Canada is employment opportunities. Now, Canada has a wide range of career paths and occupations that you can choose to follow if you want to come to the country. You can choose to remain in the career path that you had experience from back home, or you can choose to change career paths once you arrive here in Canada. I have a friend, for example, that we went to school together back home, and we did the same course, which was in administration. But when the person immigrated to Canada, she switched from administration, which is like management sciences, to medical sciences. I know somebody will say it's impossible. Yes, but those are the possibilities that the country called Canada avails you. She switched completely to a different line, to medical services from administration. These are the kind of opportunities that you get when you come into a country. All you need to do is put in your hard work. There's always work for you to do, but if you're willing to do the hard work, in the end, there's light at the end of the tunnel. It pays off for you in the end. The person I'm speaking about now is working in the medical field. Nobody asks her, where did you come from? What were you doing previously? Where you came from? It doesn't matter. The person now has the education here in Canada in medical services. And so the person is working there. That's all. Once you put in the work, you're ready to do the work, you get the result of what you're ready to do. So whatever you put in is what you receive. You know, there are some other places, like some other countries, no matter what it is you do, you don't get the reward of what you've given. You can study and get the highest level of qualification, even have a PhD, but still there's no job waiting for you. But that's not the case here in Canada. When you make yourself, when you give yourself, you put in hard work, you come here and succeed. A lot of immigrants here in Canada succeed. We succeed because we're ready to put in the hard work, and then we get the result of whatever it is that we have put in. There was the employment opportunities I talked about is what the provincial nomination program focuses on. It focuses on bringing people that are in different occupations into the provinces that the province needs at that particular time. There was a survey that was carried out, and it was said that Canada is ranked third out of 149 nations in business environment. And so what that means is that Canada's infrastructures, Canada's the innovation in technology, and also the labor market flexibility is what gave it that ranking. You know, it's easy for you to move from one occupation to another. There's nothing that is easy in this life, but if you put in the hard work, you will get the result of what it is that you're looking for. And so the labor market flexibility is what made Canada third out of 149 countries that were surveyed in business environments. Another thing is the innovative technologies that Canada has. So say, for example, your child is not able to go to school for some reason, and then you have to stay at home. You don't have to take permission from your workplace to stay off work. You can only just request that is it okay for you to work from home? Because you have the software and the technology to work from home in Canada. Like if you the software that you use in your workplace is the same software that you have, and you can access it all over the world. You can access it remotely through your computer all over the world. This technology makes you, it gives you work-life balance. You are able to balance your work with your family life, because there are some days you don't just feel like it. You don't just feel like you want to go to work, but you don't want to go out, you don't want to drive and go all the way to work, but you can work from the house. So that opportunity that it avails you, it makes your life easier. It gives you fulfillment according to Abraham Maslow's 5 hierarchy of motivation. What motivates an employee? It gives you self-actualization. It gives you that balance. You are able to balance your life with your work. It's not so much challenging for you, and it's because of the innovative technology that the Canadian environment and the Canadian business environment and business society has made available, the infrastructural facilities to give us this opportunity to have softwares where you can log in anywhere you are all over the world. That's why we enjoy this kind of flexibility. So think about that. That's another thing for you to consider. Now, another benefit that I would like to touch of immigrating to Canada is Canada makes available opportunities for investment and savings. This is a topic that I love and is very dear to my heart because, like I said, I'm a chartered accountant, I'm a finance person, and I like to save and I like to invest. I like to duplicate my money. I want my money to work for me. And so it's very important for you to save, and I also encourage you also to do that. It's not for now, it's for the future, because you don't know what the future holds. For those of us that have kids, it's even more of a concern for us, to be able to give them the best education. We want them to be the best. We want them to be better than us. We want them to stand out. And so the need to invest and the need to save is of paramount importance now for us to do. This is the time to work, and this is the time to save. This is the time to invest. And so the government of Canada has made available opportunities. They have tools that you can use that will help you invest, that will help you save your money for the future. I'm going to talk about three of those programs or plans that they have available that helps you. The very first one I'm going to talk about is called the RRSP. The RRSP, the full name of the RRSP is the Registered Retirement Savings Plan. Registered Retirement Savings Plan, RRSP. The purpose of that plan is for you to save for your retirement, so that when you retire, you don't have to depend on anyone, you don't have to depend on the government, you are able to cater for yourself and even sponsor any child you want when you retire. That's what that plan is for. Now, what this plan entails is that you open, once you're working as a working person, you open an account for this plan. So you open an RRSP account, and that RRSP account, you can give it to your employer, or if you're a self-employed person, you can contribute into that account pre-tax. Now, those of us that work in offices, when you receive your paycheck, you receive your paycheck after tax. So your tax has been deducted before you receive your paycheck. In finance, we call that net earnings. That's not your gross earnings. Your gross earnings is when your tax was not deducted, but your net earnings is after your tax has been deducted. And so with the RRSP account, you can contribute into that account pre-tax. That means from your gross earning. You can tell your employer. So say for example, if you're earning $5,000 in a month, and you want to contribute into your RRSP account, you can tell your employer, hey, please contribute 10% of my earnings into my RRSP account every month. 10% of 5,000 is 500. It means you will only be taxed on $4,500. You wouldn't be taxed on $5,000. If you did not have an RRSP account, you would have been taxed on $5,000. But now your savings into your RRSP account has helped you to reduce the taxable income, what the taxes can go on. And if you're familiar with Canadian taxes, is very high. And so what you will receive net of your earnings will be very small compared to what your gross earning is. So the RRSP avails you the opportunity to save from your gross earnings, and it helps you to save more, and it also reduces your tax at that point in time. But the question now is, does it really reduce your tax? Once you begin to save into your RRSP account, you can save it till you're the age of 71. And once you get to 71 years of age, you have to withdraw that money. But any point in time when you're saving in your RRSP, you can withdraw that money. But the thing is that once you withdraw that money from the RRSP, it will be taxed at that point. So in finance, we call that deferred tax, meaning it's a future tax. It will not be taxed now, but it will be taxed in the future. But remember, that money you're earning now, you saved now, you invested it in something, because the RRSP company or the RRSP investment managers that you invested with, they have different options where you can invest your money. You can choose to invest it in mutual funds, which gives you more earnings, which are more risky, or you can choose to invest it in the money market, which is less risky but gives you less returns. And so it's your choice. So the money grows, but upon withdrawal of that money is then taxed, but at least you can save more. Another benefit of that account is if you're employed, your employer matches that savings up to a certain percentage of your gross income. So some companies, for example, will match whatever you're contributing with like a maximum of 5% of your 5,000. And so that's like free money you're getting, which you wouldn't have gotten if you did not have an RRSP account. And so an RRSP account is a very good incentive for you to use to save. The government of Canada has that plan to encourage you to save and to invest for your future. Another of the plans that the government of Canada has is the TFSA account. The TFSA means tax-free savings account. That is an account where you can save your money. So, but the money you're saving in your tax-free account has already been taxed, because that's the money you received from your employer net of tax. So it has already been taxed. Out of that money you received as your earnings, as your net earnings, you take a portion of it and you put into your tax-free savings account, and you ask your tax-free savings account manager to invest it in mutual funds. Any earnings that you get from mutual funds on that money, even when you withdraw it, because the money is already taxed, is a net tax earning that you deposited in your TFSA account, and so that amount has already been taxed and will not be taxed anymore. And so once you receive that money in your TFSA account, you can choose to withdraw the money at any time and it will not be taxed. The only money that is taxed is the money you contributed, which is the capital. But any growth on that money, any earnings on that money will not be taxed. That is the good thing about the TFSA account. And so that's another tool that is available for you. Lastly, I will talk about the RESP account. The RESP account means the Registered Education Savings Plan account. That is an account that the government of Canada has. That's a plan that they have in place where you can save money for your child's education in the future. And so once you open that account, you contribute a certain amount to it every month, bi-weekly, weekly, whichever way you choose to do it. And at the end of every year, the government adds a contribution to that plan. and so it keeps growing and growing and growing. But you cannot withdraw that money except to use the money for your child's education. If you withdraw that money and you don't want to use it for your child's education, the government is going to remove all the additions of what they have added previously to that account. And so that's another vital tool that you can use to save for your child's college education or university education. So you see, there's so many opportunities for you as a permanent resident in Canada. Another benefit to come to Canada as a permanent resident is that the government has programs in place for you to buy your first home. The government of Canada has mortgage plans in place. What mortgage is that you approach a bank and you have a down payment that you want to buy a home. So let's say for example, you want to buy a home of 500,000, and you approach a mortgage broker and you say, I want to buy a house of 500,000. The first question you will be asked is, how much do you have as your down payment? Because you have to put a certain amount down. We can't just give you mortgage if you don't have a certain amount down. And so the amount that is required for you to put down as your down payment is between 5% and 20% of the price of that house. And so between 5% and 20% of 500,000, you need to have that ready as your down payment. And so once you have that amount, the 5%, then you can approach a mortgage broker, and then you can begin to discuss the possibilities of you getting approved from an institution like a bank that gives you the loan to buy the house. That is how the mortgage process works in Canada. And so one tool that the government has in place to help and assist first-time home buyers like us who are just new to the country is you can withdraw from your RRSP account. You can withdraw from your RRSP account, and when you withdraw from that account, it will not be taxed. So remember what I said previously, that your RRSP account is taxed when you withdraw. But if you withdraw it in this case to buy your first home, then it's not taxed because it's for a purpose. But the thing is, any amount you withdraw from that RRSP to buy your first home, you have to pay back that money to your RRSP over a space of 15 years. And the maximum amount you can withdraw from your RRSP account for you and your spouse is $35,000 each, which is for a family $70,000. So you can withdraw, I can withdraw $35,000, my husband can withdraw $35,000 from our RRSP account in order to buy our first home. Is that not amazing? That's very amazing. You know, that way we don't even get taxed when we withdraw that money, but we have to pay it back over 15 years. But it's very helpful. Another thing the government has put in place to help first-time home buyers is they have a program where the government supports you with additional 5% of the price of your home you want to buy. 5% or 5 to 10% of the home you want to buy. The government of Canada has that available for you. How that works is, depending on what your income is, you can afford a home. So say for example, if the gross income for you and your spouse is $120,000, you can buy a home of $600,000. And depending on whether the house is new or the house is old, the government gives you either 5% or gives you 10%. So if the house is old, they give you 5%. If the house is new, they give you 5 or 10%, depending on your situation at that time. All these are tools and incentives that the government of Canada has available to help you as a new immigrant to purchase your first home. Now, another thing I would like to talk about that is a benefit of immigrating to Canada as a permanent resident is each of your dependents that are less than 18 years of age are entitled to what is called the Canada Child Benefit. This is an amount of money that the government of Canada pays to your dependents less than the age of 18 years every month in order to support your child care expenses. We that have children, we know that to take care of kids are very expensive. I mean, just to buy their clothes is really expensive because they keep growing, you know, and they want to eat different things. They don't want to eat what you eat. You know, it's very expensive to take care of children. And so as a result of that, the government of Canada supports you, but that depends on your family income. So depending on your net family, on the gross family income that you earn, the government of Canada calculates what your child care benefit would be for each child. So they pay you for each child, and you get that money every month. And this is one thing I love about the government of Canada. All of these benefits I've talked about now. There's another benefit also, which is the dental benefit. But the person has to be a very low income earner. Like you have to earn, I think, less than 21,000 or 30,000 to be able to qualify for that dental benefit, where you can go into a dental to see a dentist and you don't have to pay. And trust me, dentists are very expensive here in Canada, very, very expensive. And so that's another benefit. And another benefit is also GST and HST. GST is like sales tax. That's the tax you pay when you purchase an item. So for example, if you go buy a shirt, for example, depending on the province where you live, you pay a certain percentage as sales tax on that item. So in Ontario, the sales tax is 13%. So 30% plus the cost of the item you're buying, that's what you pay for that item at the point of purchase. In Alberta, for example, the sales tax is 5%. Depending on the province you reside, the sales tax is different. And so quarterly, the government of Canada issues GST refund to you, just to support you. They gauge what they think you would spend within that period, and then they give you a refund of part of what you've spent into your account, which is is very helpful. All this money can help you, to plan yourself very well and help you with the care of the children. And the way this Canadian system is structured is that it gives low income earners more benefits than people who earn are higher. This is done in order to bridge the gap between the rich and the poor, which many countries experience. The gap between the rich and the poor in some countries is so wide, and this increases the crime rates. It's so wide. You would see a mansion, and just behind that mansion is a slum. Just behind that mansion are people who don't even have the next meal. They don't know where it's coming from. What do you expect, you who is living in the mansion? What do you expect? The next thing is those kids living in the slum turn to crime. That's what happens. But with the structure of the Canadian system, it gives more benefits. So it gives more money to people who earn lower, and those who earn higher pay more tax. That's how it works. So people who earn less are in a lower tax bracket, but people who earn higher are in a higher tax bracket. And so if you earn higher, you pay more tax. If you earn lower, you pay less tax. This bridges the gap. And if you earn lower, you get more benefits. This bridges the gap. It's very important for us to consider all these factors. And this is the reason I'm making this video, in order to let you know that these are the benefits you enjoy when you are a permanent resident of Canada. I'll also talk about athletics. Those are out of the many opportunities that Canada offers you is athletics for your kids or even for yourself. For example, I always like to use myself as an example. I've always loved soccer. Growing up, I would have loved to do soccer as a profession. That was my first choice of profession, given the opportunity. If I had the opportunity, I should have been a professional soccer star. But it didn't pan out for me. But this environment in Canada has given me the opportunity to guide my child in that path. I've registered him in a soccer academy, and he's going for trainings and going for matches. I see the prospects and I see the future. It has given me that opportunity. Even I myself, I play soccer on the weekends, with a team. I play soccer on the weekends, and I'm looking to become a soccer coach. Those are the labor market flexibility, occupational flexibility. You can choose to change your career path when you want. The opportunity avails you, but remember, you always have to do the work. You always have to do the work. Canada is a naturally beautiful place. It has so many beautiful places. The popular Niagara Falls is a wonder. I was there just a couple of months back, and it's a very beautiful spot. Canada is a very beautiful place to be in. These are all the benefits and the sceneries that you will enjoy once you come to Canada as a permanent resident. I would like to close on this note by saying that Canada is a lion that doesn't roar. Canada is a member of the G8, it's a member of OECD. Well, you don't hear Canada's voices around. It's a lion, but it doesn't roar. Canada has a lot of opportunities for immigrants, for permanent residents, even for its citizens. This is the end of my video, and I want to say thank you for those of you who have patiently watched, and for those of you who want to get who wants to be notified whenever I post a new video. Please feel free to click the notification bell down below, and also subscribe to my channel so that you can get updates when I post information. Subsequently, I'm going to be doing a lot of other videos that covers other types of immigration aside from the skilled immigration, like the provincial nomination and also the skilled trade workers. So stay tuned. Remember, be good. Always show kindness to anybody you meet, whether it's a stranger. Show love. One drop of love has a ripple effect that goes around the world. When you show kindness to one person, the next person shows kindness to the other person. Thank you so much for watching. Till I see you next time. Bye.